dripping down from my heart. Colors turned gray, emptiness led the way until I fell apart. You came to save me, to show me that you're just a prayer away. No matter where I am, I know in my heart you're never too far. When I'm losing my way, you're just a prayer away. My strength is in my faith. I'm never alone, I'm never afraid, 'cause you're just a prayer away. When I close my eyes, Lord, I call your name, and the dark subsides. Nothing can take the place of the peace I find. You came to save me, to show me that you're just a prayer away. No matter where I am, I know in my heart you're never too far. When I'm losing my way, you're just a prayer away. My strength is in my faith. I am never alone, I am never afraid, 'cause you're just a prayer away. Whenever I need to find you, I just fall on my knees. In you I find the strength that I need to live, to believe. Just a prayer away. No matter where, oh, no matter where I am, I know in my heart you're never too far. My strength is in my faith. I'm never alone, I'm never afraid, 'cause you're just a prayer
Again, thank you Lord sa iyang kaayo sa paghatag kanato gigayon sa karong buntag, makapadayon kita sa pagpalandong sa pulong si Ginoo on this month of August sa Sunday 23. Salamat sa iyang kaayo nga nagahatag kanato opportunity to continue on with our study. As I have mentioned nga ang atong series sa pagtuod karon nga mga panahon na mao ang mga character study last Sunday biya kita sa kay Isaiah. Karon pagpadayon po kita sa sana po ka well-known nga pangalan. Ang atong reference makita nato dinhi sa 1 Kings chapter 3. Basa nako ang verses beginning 3 up to verse 10. 1 Kings chapter 3 verse 3 up to 10. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, Ask, what shall I give thee? And Solomon said, Thou hast shewed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of his heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And thou, O Lord my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father. And I am but a little child, I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen, a great people, that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad, for what is able to judge this so great people? And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. May God add the blessing as we have read His word. Magampo kita una. Again, dear God, loving Father, natugyan mo kanimo, amo karong pagpalandong, use this word mightily sa kinabuhi sa imong kanakan, laban na gyud sa mga nasakupan sa Redeemed Baptist Church, Tagum, nga pinigin ang pagpalandong namo, nag-build up sa ilang kinabuhi spiritual to thy glory. In Jesus' name, Amen. Gitigulan ako kini nga pagtuon nato sa kanbuntag, having plenty, daghan, plenty, but still empty. Having plenty, but still empty. Nga naman, kinisang istorya, makita nato o sa atong gibasa, it's about a famous man, Solomon, king. He enjoyed the fullness of God's blessing, literally, materially, politically, and spiritually. He was bestowed all this blessing during his lifetime. Yet, there was a point in his life that he had experienced emptiness. The moment he placed his dependence on his worldly goods, worldly pleasures, rather than on God, the giver of all things, or the giver of all wealth. Solomon was David's 10th son, ikanapulo siyang anak ni David kay Bathsheba. Mabasa nato dinhi ang unang butang gyud nga makita nato sa 1 Kings chapter 3 that there was an allegiance. Matinud-anon gyud si King Solomon sa iyang relasyon dito sa Dios. Tungod kay mabasa nato dinhi nga there was that close communion relationship between Solomon and God himself, because at one time when Solomon was in Gibeon, the Lord appeared in a dream by night. Kaniadto ang Ginoo nagapadayag sa iya kagalingon sa iya mga pinili nga mga katawhan, if not by theophanies, kung mga manifestation of angels or a person, sometimes ang Ginoo magpadayag sa ila by a dream. No? By this time, si Solomon gipakitaan sa Ginoo, pinaagi siyang damgo. Karon ng mga panahon, ang damgo na ma-experience nato are not entirely dependable nga message sa gikan sa Ginoo, but only bunga lang na sa atong mind, sa atong pangisip. No? God appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, o ang Dios dayon nagsulti ngadto kaniya, ask what I shall give thee. Wow, pribilege, no? Tawagon nato the unlimited privilege that Solomon has from God. Unsa ka kung kita gihangyo man sa Ginoo, no, pangatan-on kita, God will confront you or me or us. Saka ang atong pangayoon. Naturally, ang atong imit lang dayon na atong isulti dito sa Ginoo, the nearest, the closest thing in our heart yun. Di ito magpanga sa tong wala po nato nagustuhan, kundi ato nga nagustuhan. And probably siguro daghan tagang hangyoon sa Ginoo. Pero si Solomon din gihatagan sa kanang pribilehyo, unlimited, no, mga privilege. Ask what shall I give thee? No? What is in the heart of Solomon? That was the spoken word of his mouth. And ang tumagdayon ni Solomon, rather, nag-review siya sa kaayos ng Ginoo ngadto sa iyang amahan nga si David. Ang iyang amahan si David, nag-enjoy siya mercy, kaluoy. God is a God of mercy. Ang iyang kaluoy wala nagakahurot, wala nag-undang, kundi renewed na siya gyud kada adlaw. You have showed great mercy. And then, ano ang mga kinabuhi pod nga kinaihan nga gipadungod ni David ngadto sa Ginoo, nga ningin maluluyon ang Ginoo ngadto kaniya, because he walked before God in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of his heart. Okay? Nakita kini ni King Solomon sa kinabuhi ni amahan niya nga si David. Nga iyang amahan, although we know that David was not a perfect man, he has some blunders sa iyang kinabuhi, but in his lifetime, pinaagi sa grasya sa Ginoo, he walked before God, ingon pa diri ni Solomon, in truth, in righteousness, and in uprightness of his heart. Nakita kini ni Solomon. O i-challenge kini sa mga ginikanan sa mga amahano, nga kung ginatanaw kita sa atong makanakan, unsa kaha nga sahi sa kinabuhi, ang ilang makitaan sa akoa, sa inyuha, nga nagapaminaw karon, are we walking in truth before God, in righteousness and the uprightness of our heart? We're not perfect, sama ni David. But what is prevailing and what is grooming in each of our heart is mao ang makita din sa Ginoo, makita sab sa mga tao sa atong palibot. And not only that God is a God of great mercy, He was also a God of great kindness. Sa verse 6 gihapon, thou hast kept for Him this great kindness. Everything that God does is great because He is an awesome God, a sovereign God. And because of that, si Solomon nagkilala ni ani, dili lamang ang Ginoo pahanungod kaniya great mercy, kundi bisan pa kindness, nga nahimo siyang hari sa karon nga mga adlaw, sitting on the throne, ingon pa siya. Nevertheless, gikilala niya nga kung ang Diyos is a God of great mercy and of great kindness, nakita po niya ang iyang limitasyon. Sa verse 8, thy servant is in the midst of thy people which thou hast chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Notice ang word nga ginagamit ni Solomon, when he talked with God, was a great God of great mercy and great kindness. Now, ang kilala po din ni Solomon that he is in the midst, chosen to lead a great people. No? O dili basta-basta ang responsibilidad gihatag kaniya. So he has that unlimited privilege, unlimited nga kindness, mercy, and goodness gikan sa Ginoo. But he was given that great responsibility, of which kilala niya kung sa iya lamang kaugalingon, dili good niya kato masarangan. Usahay tinuod yun na we would realize nga ang mga responsibilidad nga ginahatag sa ato sa Ginoo are so great. We would be amazed, no? Because of the immensity of the responsibility. But we know that if God had called me to that responsibility, He is going to equip us. Now, not only nakita nato din ang allegiance ni King Solomon ngadto sa Ginoo, kung di bisan pa ang assurance upon his recognition nga siya na sa dako sa nga responsibilidad in leading this great people. In verse 10 sa 1 Kings gihapon, chapter 3:10, the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. Unsa to ang gipangayo ni Solomon gani sa Ginoo? Sa ang Ginoo nagsulti siya, asks, what will I give you? So niya, maambag tagamay dito sa First Chronicles, the same account gihapon, but murag duol-duol ang iyang pag-render dito how God spoke to Solomon with these words in Second Chronicles chapter 1, 11 and 12. God said to Solomon, because he was pleased of the language of the requests uttered or made by King Solomon direct to God, God said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart. See, isa ka butang ginatanaw sa Ginoo gyud sa tagsa sa atong giay nga ginapangayo, ginahangyo di kaniya. Is it heartily or pakulahaw lang? Okay, ingon nato, sulayan lang nato ni kung ihatag na sa Ginoo kung dili. But are we approaching God with all of our heart? No? So unsa mga butang iyang gipangayo? In 2 Chronicles chapter 11, God said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, of which nga daghan gyud sa mga tao karon gakinahanglan gyud sila tinuod riches. Siguro bisan diin kita mangadto, unsang kinahanglanon nimo? Kwarta. No? Salamat na lang kay si Wawen Willie Rebellami panghatag sa iyang kwarta. No? Pero dili tanan sa ato may kapasidad to give riches. So Solomon dinidili siya interested about riches. Nor ang Ginoo nagpadayon, thou hast not asked riches, wealth, honor, nor life of thine enemies, neither yet asks long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself. Nalipay ang Ginoo. Kay wala niya giuna ang mga butang nga makahatag kaniya kaharuhay, materially, bahandi nining kalibutan, but rather wisdom and knowledge. Usahay malibog kita nining duha, wisdom and knowledge, kaalam ra magyapon ni sa Bisaya, no? Wisdom kaalam, knowledge kahibalo, kaalam ra magyapon. But somebody had said that I'd like his interpretation or his explanation. Knowledge is the accumulated information or facts. Accumulated na siya. But wisdom is the proper application of those accumulated facts and truth. Sa ato pa, daghan ang mga tao nga nakatuon, naka-eskwela, pero matuwag nato gihapon nga walay wisdom tungod kay abusado gihapon. No? There is the discernment, proper application of those knowledge. Ingon sa Ginoo sa kang Solomon, wisdom and knowledge have I given you. O nahibalo kita nga ang sulat nga ni King Solomon in his book of Proverbs that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Sa sininga kantangan ang na-realize din sa Ginoo sa Dios nga to sa kang Solomon that what was in the heart of King Solomon was the desire to have that wisdom and knowledge in order that he would be able to exercise justice and righteousness in his domain, being the king of Israel by that time. In verse 11, because this was in thine heart. Ang Ginoo gayud nagatutok sa atong mga kasing-kasing sa unsaman ang atong mga ginabuhat, what is in our hearts. Not riches, not wealth, not honor, nor life of thine enemies. But, yung pa sa Ginoo, nagpadayon sa verse 12, though you did not ask this. No? So sa verse 12, wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee. Kalindo to. Kaya wala problema na. Your wish is my command. Ayun sa Ginoo. Wish granted. Alam ka. Wow. Sa kahato, no? Kung kita siguro hatagan po sa Ginoo sa kanang kaalam. Makaingon na uban nga yatagaan sa kaalam sa Ginoo. Not only Solomon enjoyed that benefit granted by the wisdom that comes from God. Pinoon, ang Biblia nagasulti sa ato apag, do not as perfect, not as great as Solomon, but in the book of James, nagasulti sa ato, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, because God is the source of this wisdom. Now, wish granted, wisdom and knowledge, plus, no? Plus, yung dahil ng Ginoo, verse 12, I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after thee have the like. Wow! Tanawa, no? Ang ipangalamang ni King Solomon, wisdom and knowledge, but here, the Lord granted more than what he had asked for. He asked God not riches, wealth, and honor, nor the life of his enemies, but he was granted far more than what he had asked. In verse 12, nagpadayon siya, neither shall there any after thee have the like. Manigitog natog, the richest man who ever lived on this earth, and the richest and the wisest. No? There's none other like than King Solomon. Ano ang riches ni Solomon? No? Tested siya. According to the scripture, he has 1,400 chariots. Dagan good. Chariots, kini mga kangga, sakyan nila kaniadto. Ako mag-parade siguro ni ang 1,400, you can imagine. Pagkadaghan guni ng mga kangga, dili lamang kangga kini for the parade, but it is also used for the invasion. O mag-defend sila sa ilang kaaway. Horsemen niya, mga bayo. Mga fighters nagasakay sa kabayo, 12,000. Silver and gold, yun pa sa 12. Nga murag gitawag lang kini nga common na stone ang silver and gold, common as stone dito sa Jerusalem sa kadtong mga panahon. Mas kaasa ka lang mga to, grabe ang gold yun. With the imported horses coming from Egypt. But we know, there was a prohibition before this. No? Sa naghari na si King Solomon, sa panahon pa ni Moses, nagpahinumdum na nga daan ang Ginoo ngadto kanila, giving this warning in Deuteronomy chapter 17 rather, verse 16 up to 17, mano niya ang gisulti sa Ginoo ngadto kanila. But the king shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause people to return to Egypt to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord had said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. So dili di ay ang hari magpadagan siya mga horses God for himself lamang. Such as what happened to the life of King Solomon. Nagipadaghan gud niya ang iyang mga kabayo, nagigamitan niya to display how strong ang iyang gingharian tungod sa mga kabayo, his armament. Kung sa ato pa karon ni mga nagkalahi nga mga sakyanan, mga imported nga mga sakyanan, kaniadto mga horses ang ilang ginakinahang. Pero may prohibition di ay, may pagdumili. He shall not multiply horses to himself. And in verse 17, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. O dili lang di horses ang paandaman sa Ginoo nga dili siya magpadaghan ni ani, kung di bisan ang asawa sa hari, which maigi dumili sa Ginoo. Kaaron nga gidid-an siya sa Ginoo sa maong pagkinabuhi o kanang relasyon, having many wives. In verse 20, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. Gipasidad-an na dahil sila, gibawalan siya nga dili niya padaghanon gyud kayong ang iyang kabayo sama sa pagpadagan ni King Solomon, nor ang iyang asawa, aron nga ang iyang kasing-kasing, iyang heart, in verse 20, that his heart be not lifted up. We are being reminded also in the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 9, gaingon si Prophet Jeremiah that the heart is deceitful above all things. And nakahibalugay yun siya sa tagsa-tagsa sa mga kahimtangan sa atong mga kasing-kasing. O tungod niya na, ang Ginoo, makita nato din because He knows na sa sulod sa ato kasing-kasing, He is an expertise or specialist in cardiology. Dili lang siya mag-treat sa problema sa kasing-kasing, but particularly yun ang unod, ang naa sa kasing-kasing, sa tao. He knows it. And not only horses, wealth, riches, silver, but as well as in 1 Kings chapter 10, makita nato din ang pagkadaghanon gyud sa gold nga nagsulod nato sa kang King Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 14. Ingon din now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 600 threescore and 6 talents of gold. Ang 1 score is 20. So kay 6 money, in 1 year was 600, 3 score money dahi, 3 score money, nagkakulugan, 3 score, 666 talents of gold. Yung pa sa uban, may nag-compute. Ingon sa din ang iya computation about sa value sa gold nga natigom ni King Solomon by the time it amounted to $727 million. 272,000. Muna, millions. So sa pagkakaroon, siguro ng mga panahon, billions na to. No? So, in terms of gold, in terms of horses, in terms of wealth, in terms of fame, fortune, si Solomon, buhong na siya. Nevertheless, ang subo sa kinabuhi ni King Solomon, in spite of all the blessing that the Lord bestowed on him, there was his alteration. Alteration meaning a deviation from what is right and proper. Na-alter, na-deviate siya. In 1 King chapter 3 verse 3, na yun, pagkaanindot kiniunta nga description, Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. When he started, his obedience and his life of obedience to the Lord. Nevertheless, something happened in the life of King Solomon. Because the problem of his heart, na naman unta sa iyang tanan. But, because he has that problem in his heart, in 1 King chapter 11, verse 1, but King Solomon loved many strange women. Gigiinan gyud siya sa Ginoo nga dili na siya magpadaghan sa iyang mga asawa or asawa-asawa niya. Much more pa gyud nga ang mga babae nga iyang gipangasawa nagikan sa mga kaaway sa iyang mga tribo. Namduman nato women of Moabites. Hinoon si Ruth is from Moab. Ammonites. Hinumduman nato ang Ammonites. Tribo ni Lot sa usa sa iyang anak ka babae. Sidonians sa Andihitites. Mga kaaway guni sila sa mga Israelinon. Mao ni ang kahimtangan nga gipasok ni Solomon sa iyang kinabuhi. Ang Dios ay hinumdum kanila, which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Yet Solomon clave unto this in love. Ang problema ni Solomon ay ang kasing-kasing yapon. He loved strange wives. Dili siya makalikay. Hinoon, usa sang nagsulat, ngano nadaghan gyud ang asawa ni Solomon sa iyang harem. It's because there were some tribes sa iyang palibot nga para na lang makaduol sila sa kang Solomon, ihatag nila ngadto sa kang Solomon ang ilang anak nga katong pinakagwapa gyud. Murag dori nila sila nang nalutao sa kang Solomon aron sila mo duol makadikit sila ngadto sa kang Solomon pinaagi sa pagpaasawa kaniya sa ilang anak. So nadaghan gyud kay bisan siguro dili na to magpangulitao pa si Solomon, tagaan man siya sa kining mga kababayan. In verse 3, ang statistics na gasulti ka nato kung pila ang babae ni Solomon dito sa aging harian. Verse 3, he had 700 wives, princesses, 700 wives, meaning gipakaslan gyud niya na ay seremonya, and 300 concubines. 700 plus 3, pilatanan ang babae sa iyang harem. 1,000. Ang resulta, his wives turned away his heart. At the beginning of his kingship, of his rulership in Israel, the verse states, he loved the Lord. Niya karon, his deviation, alteration sa iyang kinabuhi. When King Solomon began to love many strange women, strange wife. And because of that, nagpadaan ang verse, in verse 4, it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. Di nato makita, akong dili nato di ay bantayan ang atong pagkinabi ng kalibutan, and we compromise ourselves, just like King Solomon, with the nature and the ways of this world, no? Maabot yung panahon nga ang atong kasing-kasing, ang atong affection sa Ginoo mobalhin nga adto sa mga butang nga duol sa atong kasing-kasing in Solomon's time. In his case, it was his wives that turned his heart away from God into other gods. His heart was not perfect with the Lord, because he served Ashtoreth. Ibawa nato ni nga mao ni ang Dios sa mga Moabites, Sidonians, the god of the Sidonians, and Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Og tungod kay na-compromise naman ang iyang relasyon dito sa Ginoo, nagpadayag pagyod sa kinabuhi nga iyang gisubay. In verse 6, Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord as did his father David. Masakit tinuod una-huna nato. He deviated from the ways of the Lord. And not only that, he deviated, he was distracted, and now he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. First, compromise. Now, he went into a lifestyle. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord. Beloved, usahay nga itong hununa, maayo man nga akong ginabuhat kay nagustuhan ko man ni. Para man ni sa akong gingharian, para nga walay samok. Isa siguro na sang hunahuna ni Solomon, akong asawahon ng ilang mga anak, para nga dili silang samok kay kamimbro ko na sila sa akong pamilya. Pero dili di ay mauna ang kimtangan din. Because Scripture tells us when Solomon was already old, his heart was swayed away and persuaded to worship some other god. And the painful description or pagpadayag nga gihatag sa Ginoo sa kinabuhi ni Solomon in verse 9, tungod sa magibuhat niya, he went following some other gods which are not real gods, and doing what is evil in the sight of the Lord. In verse 9, the Lord was angry with Solomon. Kasi siya ginabasa ko ni, mura ginakulbaan ako. Beloved in the Lord, putang nagbinalik kaya na ito sa atong kinabuhi. Na magkinabuhi kita na yung kalibutan. Not only doing what is evil, but allowing God to become angry with us. Tungkol sa atong ginabuhat. Langga matatas Ginoo si Solomon. Because he was the son of David, his beloved. But because of what Solomon did, doing what is evil in the sight of God, the Lord became angry with him. So far, he was the only person that pronounced by God in the scripture that the Lord was so angry with him. Beloved in the Lord, the fear of my heart, hindi na ito hagiton ang Ginoo masuko sa satua, that we would suffer the consequences of the evil things that we are doing. Ngabisan pa na ibalo, nagkikita nga mali. At pakong pa tayo pag yun ang Ginoo. Naginabuhat na ito. The Lord forgive us. God grant mercy and your grace. Forgive us. of all the transgression. Now, kaingon kita. Ang Ginoo naghatag magpardon sa kay Solomon.